up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the WARFRAME video. Today, we're talking about the Atomos. I think this thing has a unique use case in the current meta of the game, and to be honest, the kuva nukor's chaining got nerfed, so if you want AoE clear enemies with a beam weapon secondary, I'd say the Atomos is potentially a little bit more efficient than the kuva nukor nowadays. Now, we're going to have a kuva nukor revisited video coming out next week, so don't worry, the kuva nukor is still really good. But this thing has some unique use cases that it's actually better than kuva nukor in. So, before we get into it, make sure you are subbed to the channel to see when the videos go up, and make sure you check out the live stream channel as well. We're live streaming a lot more nowadays, so make sure you're on there. Alright, so the Atomos. This thing is pretty much like the best weapon you can get as a new player. I think you can get like around MR5, and it's pretty much a chaining fire pistol. We've only got heat damage innately, so not very good max stats potential, but the big strength of this weapon is stacking up those heat procs quite easily. So it's a strength and a weakness at the same time. So we've got 8 fire rate with a 70 round magazine, a 2-second reload, and this thing is full auto with a 15% crit chance and a 1.7 multiplier. So pretty bad crit stats, honestly. And we've got 21% status chance. Some things that aren't really on the stat screen right here. The range of this weapon is only going to be 15 meters. The beam of it. But you can actually put on the Ruin Extension mod, which is freshly made into an Exilis mod, which will let you shoot from even further away. So I'm going to show you a maxed out build, like basically for Steel Path. And we'll also have like a, pretty much, the channel's for people who are higher level. But if you for some reason want to use this as a low level player, as it is good for low levels, just try to fit viral and heat on there. Since it already got base viral, or since it's already got base heat, you can just put a cold mod and a toxin mod to make viral heat. So, this is a no ribbon build. Let's start with some of the strengths of this thing over the kuva nukor. A very similar weapon to it. The kuva nukor, it's a chaining beam weapon just like this thing. This thing can chain to 3 different enemies at once. The kuva nukor was nerfed down to only be able to chain to 2 enemies at once. So, for the amount of time you're firing this thing out, it can clear out hordes really, really fast. Also, the ribbon mods for this thing are double the stats of the kuva nukor. So, let's just summon in some level 50 chumps so I can show how fast it can clear these guys out. This is with just Arcan Avenger right now, so the chaining is pretty good. And once we get the Merciless stacks, the heat procs tear these guys open. And we didn't even need the heat procs, really. Those are just level 50s. So we summon up to level 185, and it's a similar situation. This thing can clear the Steel Path, although I'd recommend you probably should use some buffing if you're using on the Steel Path. We're talking Eclipse, things like that. So now they're level 185. Let's see if it's a similar situation. Heat procs and viral are a very, very powerful combo of elements here, and as you can see, she's taken 7,000 damage heat procs with no ribbon, just Arcan Avenger, getting our crit chance to about, I think it's about 80%. So yeah, pretty good for a just hanging out kind of weapon. Now I'd say the overall scaling of the Atomos versus the kuva nukor is not really in the Atomos' favor. I'm not even using Galvanized shot, as you can see in here, because we're getting a maximum of 2 different statuses. You really can't get many statuses on this thing, and the Ruinous Extension mod gives us 23 meters of beam length. Alright, so like I said, ribbons are high on this thing. I could honestly just take this mod right here, Atomos Igna Akracon, which has crit chance, crit damage, heat, and minus infested. I could just put that right here. My crit chance goes to 62, and with Arcan Avenger, now we're at 100% crit chance. So that could be something you might want to consider. And since we're getting so many heat procs, there's lots of things you could do. You could potentially, do something like a Eclipse or a Roar, which makes damage over time much stronger. So as you can see right there, now we have better crit consistency, and we're seeing a little bit of orange crits in here. Now, is this better than the status chance mod? No, it's probably not. It just gives you more crit consistency. Up in that status chance as much as you can. Also, a very key thing to do when you're making a viral heat build and you're trying to get heat damage over time, make sure the heat number, right here, 54, make sure that heat number is higher than the viral number. The reason for that, you only need 10 viral procs, but everything else after those 10 viral procs are applied, you should be going for heat procs. So here we are on the Steel Path with some buffing. We've got Eclipse on our build. We've also got Arcan Avenger, so we're getting nearly guaranteed crits. This is without the ribbon, by the way. No ribbon, we're getting about 80% crit chance, and we have another, 286% increased damage, 266% increased damage. Now, the reason and the use case for this weapon, I'd say, in the meta of the game, is what you're seeing right here. The thing is, there's not many very good AoE secondary pistols. We've got the Spore Lacer with a max crit version, the Prisma Angstrom kind of, You know, maybe the Catabalist, when you throw the grenade, you could kind of consider that. And like maybe like the Verma Splicer. Really not many options in the secondary slot, unless you're counting the Nell. There'll be a video on the Nell, again, coming out in a couple days, so look out for that one. This thing is one of the best AoE clears. I'm going to go ahead and say the mob clear on this thing is outstanding. We're talking about one of the best secondary mob clears in the game. But then here comes the problems, where, okay, I can kill trash jets pretty fast. How about that Acolyte that's spawning in the next couple of minutes? F grade on this weapon for Acolytes, as Acolytes can only have 4 heat procs on them at once. This thing, and similar to the Phantasma, though why the Phantasma had a terrible Acolyte grade, this thing is actually a little bit better than the Phantasma against Acolytes just because it has some crit. When you rely entirely on your heat procs to kill things, the Acolytes don't really care. They're just like, whatever, I don't care about your heat proc. You're going to have to find another way to kill me. So, similar to the Phantasma video, make sure you bring something like the Stropha. Make sure you bring something that can take care of an Acolyte very quickly. Corrosive, high damage, and crit build. Because this thing is not going to be your friend for the Acolyte. The Acolyte's going to laugh at you. He's going to take your lunch money and your steel essence. So, that's why it's an F. The Phantasma got an F- because that is entirely heat proc dependent with no crit. This thing actually has crit a little bit to back it up, making that base damage go up a little bit more. So, but honestly, don't use either of them for Acolytes. Max stats potential D, underwhelming. I mean, even the Mark 1 Bratton has better stats potential than this thing, because if you modded the Mark 1 Bratton for viral heat, you could get viral heat, impact, puncture, slash. This thing is only going to get the 2 elements you can mod for. So you can go corrosive heat, you can go gas electric, you can go viral heat like I recommend in the video. That's all it's got going for it. So honestly, below average D, because it just doesn't have that much status. Like, it has good stats, but it doesn't have much status potential. We're talking like it doesn't have any physical types. It's got base heat, which is not really flexible for other things. Here's the Acolyte right here. I already told you how it's going to go pretty much. But even with these big downfalls of being terrible against Acolytes and terrible for just getting a bunch of different types of procs for like Galvanized Shot or something like that, I'm going to still call it an above average weapon, solely due to the mob clear. If we could honestly potentially go for S on this mob clearing grade, just because if you compare it to other secondaries, it's pretty much just on, it's competing with the Kuva Nukor and the, like I said, the Angstrom and the Spore Lacer. Honestly, I think this thing is very, very good for just, a mindless spamming weapon. If you want to bring this like Kuva Liches or Corpus Liches, it will mow through the fodder enemies really fast. And like I said, if you like Rivens, this thing has 0.95 Riven Dispo, which is like, it's literally like double the stats of Kuva Nukor Riven. So maybe pick up a Atomos Riven. Like I said, the biggest thing versus like for just AoE clearing is the 3 enemy chaining versus the 2 enemy chaining of the Nukor. I wonder if they forgot about the Atomos, or like if that's next on the nerf chopping block, but yeah, it at least has a place in the game. It can get, you don't have to fight a Kuva Lich to get this thing. For new players, I'd say this is going to be one of your best bets. And look at, I'm using it on the Steel Path right now. Now I'm using WARFRAME abilities to buff it, but I'm using an MR5 weapon that you can get as a newer player on the Steel Path and clearing out enemies really, really fast. So that's really good. This is, of course, with Arcane Merciless and all that. But yeah, highly, highly recommend it, guys. It has a place in the game as far as the meta. And like I said, the whole thing with no Riven, you could definitely make it work with no Riven. Maybe you could potentially put on Prime Heated Charge instead of this Scorch mod just to get even more heat weighting. Like I said, you want the heat number to be higher, but I don't have the capacity to do that, so we can just take that off. Now the heat number is going to go up to even higher. So yeah, that's what I'd recommend, is probably think about something like that. We're 68 heat, and then we got 34 viral. So like basically double the amount of heat, actually exactly double the amount of heat as the viral. So we're getting lots of heat procs stacked up. That's going to be your gateway to get even more damage. So yeah, really, really good. Hopefully you guys found the video helpful. Do give it a shot. It's not meta or anything like that, but it is very, very nice. Look over the Kuva Nukor Revisited video coming out very soon. And yeah, just thank you for all the support on the channel, guys. It really means a lot. I'm going to try to get around to respond to comments. I don't know if you guys were here the other day when I did a stream. I spent about almost 4 to 5 hours responding to comments on Twitch. And that was on like 2 videos. So I'm going to try to get around to the rest of them, guys. Thank you so much for the support. I'll see you next time, and take it easy. Peace.